Killing people absolutely is an art, and I don't mean just the clown. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to The Art of Murder pilot by Chalk Chip Animations. This is a donation reward for Venom, get that right off the bat. And yeah, so you may have noticed last week, due to circumstances beyond my control, I wasn't able to get to a YouTube reaction on Monday. I wasn't really able to do much of anything on Monday. And so because of that, instead of doing another, oh my goodness, Epic the Musical video this week, like I was normally going to plan to, doing it every other week, we're just going to do this week what we were supposed to do last week and get back to Epic the Musical next week. So this week we are getting to the Art of Murder pilot. This is an animation pilot on YouTube. I don't know anything else about it. I don't know Chalk Chip Animations. I don't know anything about what this is about or who might be in it. If it shares like some VAs from like other animation pilots out there. Like Michael Kovac seems to be in a lot of these, so I wonder if he's going to be in this. Because he's in a lot of these animation pilots. I wouldn't put it past him to be in this. But I don't know what this is. The title, The Art of Murder, implies to me that this is going to be, you know, about violence and murder. And probably from maybe the perspective of someone who is a killer for one reason or another and sees it almost like an art form. Though it might not be that literal, and it could be like more metaphorical in that way. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. But yeah, this is an animation pilot. Thank you, Venom, for requesting this. And we're just going to get into this and see what we have in store, because I don't know what to expect at all. Hopefully it ends up being entertaining. And let's just give it a shot. Yeah, let's get this started. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I went to look up the voice cast and see what else they've done, especially since I got, like, it completely wrong who Lizzie Freeman was. I wanted to see, like, okay, so then who is Albie's voice? What has she done? Lauren Lopez? I don't really know anything that she's done. Joey Bazinger, I obviously know as the YouTuber, The Anime Man. And I believe he lives in Japan, and I guess he's... I didn't know, I guess he was, like, entirely fluent in Japanese. I knew he knew some Japanese, but I didn't know how fluent he was. But I looked up the others, and the only one I think I really would know from much of anything is one voice that Joey Richter did. He was Giorgio, the detective guy. He was the voice of a random guard. Well, not a random guard, but a very minor character. This guard from Zhao Fu in The Legend of Korra. In book 3, they're interrogating a bunch of people, trying to find out who is like the spy for the Red Lotus. And there's this one guard that that gets the blame pinned on him at first. This one young guard, Aiwei, the truth teller, calls him a liar because, you know, he's faking it. he's lying, but he lies about this kid being, the bad guy, and even plants evidence and everything. But yeah, it's this one small role from like one episode. But otherwise, I don't really know anything the others have been in besides Lizzie Freeman, who's, in a lot of things. So it's like that's that's really interesting. They're mostly in like, minor stuff and like YouTube related projects and whatnot. But this gives them more of a voice and gives them a chance to like get their names out there. Apparently, this pilot came out like about 6 months ago, back at the end of last year, and it's it's one of those that has just not been updated yet. It just hasn't received any like future content. Um, but I like the concept. I like the basic concept being a combination of different styles and mediums and references. Obviously, like it wears its references on its sleeves. It doesn't hide any of it. Um, the most notable is absolutely Sosuke being just a blatant ripoff of Sasuke from Naruto, but making him the main character and like even having the Bosuke spin-off and everything. But there's other references in here, like they reference Miles Edgeworth, they have Funko Pops, they reference Toy Story, and it's like they don't hide the references at all. They name them differently and everything, and slightly change things to keep it um safe from copyright, I guess. But it's very blatant, and there's both positives and negatives to that. I almost kind of wish the references were a little less like in your face, because it feels like it's trying to take over a lot of this. It's like, oh, you get these references, haha. We'll even mention toys coming alive while showing Toy Story characters and playing a um our version of the Toy Story theme. It's like, get it? We're making a reference. And that's what a lot of this feels like. It feels like the creators are saying, get it? We're making a reference constantly. And it just doesn't feel naturally integrated. Like, there's a lot of shows, a lot of YouTube stuff out there that makes references that are a lot more subtle about it. A big example um, would be um, Pretty Please, I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl. There's a lot of references in that pilot, with even one of the characters being voiced by the English voice of Madoka from Madoka Magica. But it only has one moment where the reference is super blatant, and that's when it like directly makes a Sailor Moon reference but calls it Moon Sailor. But the rest of it is like it's a little more subtle. They don't throw it in your face with the references to stuff like Sailor Moon and Madoka Magica and whatnot. Just magical girl anime in general. They try to keep it a little more subtle most of the time. But this is like not even slightly subtle. And again, it's fun in terms of like, oh, I get that reference. It's enjoyable and it's kind of goofy and everything in that regard. But at the same time, like I said, it does feel like it's very much being thrown in your face. And there's a side to that almost feels like we're being treated like we're kids or something, you know? Because I wouldn't call this necessary. I mean, I wouldn't say this isn't unfriendly for children. It seems like an all ages kind of thing, but preferable for like 13 and up, I would say. Um, and it feels like there is a side of it that feels like it's talking down to the viewers by making the references so blatant and in your face. It's like it feels like they're not giving the viewers enough credit that they'll figure out what references are without, you know, directly stating it. And a lot of this, unfortunately, is, you know, directly stating what the references are. The rule is usually like that people like to, you know, push so hard is show don't tell, and this series is all tell. It's not allowing the viewers to just, you know, naturally understand what the references are, because it's telling you at every point. It's holding your hand. And that's my biggest complaint with this, is that it feels like it's just not giving the viewers enough credit. And I understand, like, kind of the joke is that these are, you know, drawings of these characters come to life. And the idea is like, yeah, they're supposed to be seen as you know, characters rather than like real people and stuff. But it's, again, it's like you could have done it with a little more subtlety. I do like the different styles and different mediums, though. How each character comes from something different. It allows them to like feel different and look different, and I like even like that Sosuke speaks entirely in Japanese. And they didn't need to do that because English dubs of anime exist, but they did it for the joke, the fact that no one can understand him and everything. But he somehow completely understands them. And then you have the OC, who is also basically a different medium. Because you have, again, you have anime, you have English cartoon, you have 2D, like, Disney movie. You have a detective-based dating sim. And, of course, now you have an original character. And there's more you could do. There's more kinds of characters you could introduce with this concept. But it feels like this is supposed to be like a limited thing. Like when more episodes come out, it's going to be very limited to just this murder mystery. But the problem is, I just feel like it makes more sense that Pip did it. Right? I feel like no other like conclusion could end up being satisfying here. It just, especially since it went out of its way to show that Pip was, you know, not getting things right, and even was like saying, oh, it's hard to draw hands and everything. And that's why OC only had one arm and all at the end, because we saw that Pip had erased it. So it's like, it just makes sense that, like, between the two nights, Pip probably got frustrated by having, like, the issue of drawing OC, the rest of OC. Maybe even got, like, upset at, like, how just it was going in general, and decided to rip that out and basically maybe start again in the future. Is that not possible? In fact, that seems more likely than any of the others actually doing it, because it seems too obvious, especially with them setting up that they all had like this almost jealousy of OC because they were worried that they'll be forgotten and everything, like with Sosuke having his show having ended and stuff, and various things like that. It just doesn't seem like it'd be satisfying for any other answer. Like, they obviously bring up the question about, like, oh, why is Win covered in water? Why is Sosuke covered in mud? And then you end up seeing the dog, which is named Weeaboo, because of course it is. You see the dog come in having mud and paper on its paws, and it's like, okay, you add in the mystery of things, which makes Sosuke the initial prime suspect there. But it's like, Okay. Why aren't either of the other two, though, covered in anything? Why are the first two covered, and why does that relate to the dog? How does that make any sense to connect to this? It's like, yeah, I feel like there's gonna be this entire, like, investigation of all the different people, and it's just gonna reveal in the end that it's like, it was just Pip. It feels like this couldn't really go any other way. Again, I just don't see it working right if it's any of the others. It wouldn't make sense to me at this point. The only thing that would be Pip. So, yeah, I just there's a lot of fun that was clearly had with this, and the VAs do a great job. The animation and art styles are great. I enjoy the concept, the basic concept, even though the, like, inanimate objects coming to life thing has been done plenty of times before. It's it's not a bad concept, and it's done well enough. But there are those little issues that do take a little bit out of it for me. Um, it's better than other things I've checked out, but not as good as some others. I'd say it's better than likes of Hell of a Boss's initial pilot, just the initial pilot, of course, or Lackadaisy. But it's not as good as the likes of Has Been Hotel or Amazing Digital Circus. Um, so it's kind of in the middle for me there. Um, and obviously I could have named other pilots we've checked out, but those are the ones that came to mind first. But yeah, it's just eh. Maybe I'll check out more of it when it comes out. Depending on how it goes. Also, it maybe if someone like requests it in the future, but we'll see. I'm not like as heavily invested in this as other things, and I don't know. Maybe it'll improve in terms of a lot of things and be a little less blatant in the future. But there's just some issues that I hope are kind of resolved as it goes along, and hopefully it ends out being very good because I always support. I always like to support these independent YouTube groups who put out these kinds of pilots and animations and all. I want to at least give them like initial support, like, and try to get their pilots and stuff out there. At least react to it, give it a chance, and everything. Um, and hopefully things don't end up going wrong with that. But I'm also going to share my opinions, my general thoughts, and it's not always going to be entirely positive. Just, it's not. Um, Sometimes I'm going to have some issues here and there. And sometimes the creators of a pilot may end up being kind of shitty, like with Lackadaisy. Still not over that. And I guess, like, not just the pilot, but the comic it's based off of, too, with Lackadaisy, but still. Um, but yeah, I think there was definitely some quality to this. It's just there were some issues that I had that I can't get over as well. But I'd love to hear your opinions. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.